Hey guys, it's Kevin out in Virginia. When you get to General Organa, I want to point out that both Eisenhower and Grant preferred to use the title of General after their times as president, which I guess is like after her time as princess, on the grounds that, anybody can basically be voted in, and anybody can be elected. Elected is the term I want. Anyone can be elected president, but to make it, and anyone can be born a princess, but to make it to the rank of general, that takes a lot of work and it's something to be more proud of. So there you go. The general is back. Thank you much. Bye.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Chrysanthe Tan from Star Wars Music Minute.
Welcome back, Chrysanthe.
Thank you.
Today we are talking about minute number 17 of the rise of Skywalker. Minute number 17 starts off with Poe Dameron revealing that Sheev is on Exegol, and it ends a minute later with Rey revealing that she wants to go to Exegol. She'd known she was a Palpatine right there, that they both love hanging out on Exegol so much.
I have two things. One, I just want to back up and say I don't 100% believe that she is a Palpatine. That's neither here nor there. But right now I want you to, you just said it, Chrysanthe, how do you say the name of the secret Sith planet that we're talking about here?
Exegol?
Yeah. It's not quite as distinct as Han Han or anything like that, but there's Exegol or Exegol. Like Exegol, and they say it differently within the movie, which is, again, one of the wonderful Star Wars things that happens, because that happens in life. But
okay, how do you say the name of the language in Star Wars that is like written on lots of places? How do you say the name of that one language that starts with AU?
Arabesh?
What about you, Alex?
Goldbesh. Arabesh.
Okay, so I say Orabesh.
Is that what we're all saying?
Arabesh?
No,
you're saying Arabesh.
I feel like being New Yorkers, we'd be much more likely to say Orabesh than Arabesh.
I think it's just a regional dialect thing, because
when
I hear other people,
read some Arabesh.
and I think I said Exegol. Did I say Exegol?
Exegol?
No, I can't remember. But yeah. Arabesh. And I try to make myself say Arabesh, but I forget. It's like oral skills versus oral skills. But in school, in music school, you take oral skills, but I would say oral skills, and it would be confusing.
Or a singe. What
about our singe? You're a singe.
Anyway. So during the big meeting, Rey suddenly is like, you know what? I'm gonna go read. She runs away from the meeting, goes to get the sacred texts from her what's it called? Like what is it called? What do soldiers keep their stuff in? A box with all their stuff.
Their sleeveys? What?
A suitcase? I know what you mean.
Like
there's
a
there's a
term for it.
Footlocker.
There you go.
Oh, is it really called a footlocker?
Yeah, I mean, historically,
so,
yeah.
I knew there was a word for it, but that was not what I was expecting the word to be.
Yeah. So she goes and gets the sacred text from the that she stole from the Jedi tree, and recovered,
saved, from
Preserved.
Yoda's arson.
How does she know how to read all that stuff?
Well,
thereby hangs a tale.
There are pictures in it.
With the help of C-3PO and Beaumont Kin, she's been able to translate a lot of it and kind of get a better understanding for it.
So it's not in Sithese.
No.
Because we know C-3PO cannot speak Sithese, cannot translate Sithese because he's forbidden to.
Right.
That makes sense. That's
I can't say
droid.
for sure what language it's in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's not just one language either. I think it's a variety of ancient, it's a collection of things from all over.
Right. And there are numerous diagrams again. So, but also we haven't seen even half of the pages. But speaking of the AU pronunciation, Auric fonts, if you are watching this or listening to this, he's the expert on scripts, on all the written and stuff in Star Wars. So this would be a time to chime in and let us know what language this is, whatever, all that stuff.
I think that would be a fun job.
I can't understand it because it's in Arabic.
It's a sip. I can't.
Or Futhark, or whatever they are.
I think that would be a fun job making props like this, getting to do all that fake lettering and fake, drawings and make it look aged and all that stuff. So I like that kind of.
Like John Williams is, not John Williams. Ralph McQuarrie's Ark of the Covenant thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Like that. That seems like it'd be fun. Well, I will tell you, Rey doesn't. The reason why she doesn't say like, "Oh wait, I know where that is because she is very protective of kind of Luke's legacy and doesn't feel like it's like a fairly private thing just to be like, oh, like a picture. I mean, things are different because it's like the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. But if the answer to a problem was in somebody's diary, you might not just do it in the group meeting. You might be like, hey, let me talk to this guy's sister and just be like, hey, look, I think your brother knew where this was. So she wanted it to be like a private thing, but she like was instantly inspired and had to go find it. Which makes sense because otherwise she does drop out of the meeting rather suddenly. I think she probably had time to just like wait until whoever was done talking and then go. But
yeah, plus she kind of always wants Leia's blessing in a way.
Right. Yeah. You think Leia would have been mad if Rey was like, "Oh, I know where that is, Exegol. Wait, it's in one of these Luke's diaries." And then Leia would have been like, you don't air our dirty laundry out here in public? Come on.
Could Leia possibly have any dirty laundry that hasn't already been aired out in public? Her father was Darth Vader, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like anything other than that, it's going to be a welcome distraction from that.
I'm now in my head. I'm liking the idea. I'm going to hang on to it a little bit of the idea of like Leia being like a Tony Soprano kind of like we see her as like kind of benevolent, leader of this. But I'm just going to, in the back of my head, I'm going to keep this characterization of her being kind of like a controlling mob boss. That's why
Did you just ruin The
there.
Sopranos? I'm just kidding.
Spoiler alert: there's a mob boss in it.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think I think in general the Leia bits suffer from not having Carrie Fisher around to do the stuff. They could have had a lot more stuff, so they were really limited as to what they could do. And weirdly, it reminds me of that early episode of The Sopranos where one of the actors passed away and they had to sort of cobble together. That was the first time I think I remember about an actor being CGI'd to be still alive.
Right.
Even the character was still alive, even though the actor had passed away.
Right.
In between seasons.
They used kind of extra footage and like used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like instead of like kind of the opposite of gumping them in, like Forrest Gump, you're taking a living actor and putting them into historical events, and this is like the opposite of that, where you're taking a historical actor, somebody from previous seasons, and then just kind of dropping them into a live kind of current scene.
I think they actually did a pretty good job with Leia, all things considering.
Oh, sure.
She had some lines that I really liked in this film. One of them that I realized upon rewatching 2 days ago that I misheard, but that's okay. I liked what I misheard better than what it actually was. But this scene, I think it plays out pretty well. She doesn't have very, very much dialogue in it. Daisy Ridley's lifting heavy throughout most of this. It works probably because of her.
Yeah, they spread it around to Rey and Maz a little bit, and
Poe too. I feel like Poe's whole speech there about Palpatine returning, in a perfect world, it would have been the new General Dodonna, General Leia doing that kind of speech. So,
right. Can you picture that part, like version of the meme? Can you picture like a gravelly General Leia being like, somehow Palpatine returned. It was Snoke, like that.
I wonder if people would have been more forgiving if it was Carrie Fisher saying it instead of Oscar Isaacs. Yeah.
Well, so again, going back to the novelization, there are more scenes that fill in. Like you can really see kind of the seams in a sense of like how they stitched in what they had in order to make this work. And there's a lot of I think the novelization, they're matching what appears on screen to what the initial intent was. So it's just like you'll have this scene and Leia says like, no, said Leia. And then it's like, and she thought to herself, and then like a whole like sentence about like, oh, this is probably what they would have had her say if they had the actress there, But yeah, again, considering all what's all said and done, it was, they did a good job of kind of getting her in there. And they probably could have used, I'm sure they would have liked a little bit more supporting dialogue and whatever else, but there was no way to do it respectfully and convincingly. I don't think.
That's the
in the novelization, it says, Leia wouldn't have minded if Rey had chosen to show this to everyone at once, but the Jedi texts had last belonged to Luke, and the girl was always respectful of his memory and legacy, so they were alone in Leia's quarters, one of the texts open before them. And then Leia perked up, tell me. The pyramidal object, blah, blah, blah. Leia's breath came fast. If Luke had already been searching, then they simply had to find his trail and pick up where he'd left off. This gave them somewhere to start. It gave them hope. Which is...
They already had her saying hope.
Right.
They should have used that.
And then Leia has her Yoda moment here, where Rey's like, if we're to find this fleet, Rey continued, to stop what we both feel is coming, I need to finish what Luke started. Find Exegol, find the Emperor. Now Leia's breath came fast for a different reason. No, she choked out. Rey wasn't ready. There was so much left for the girl to learn. If Rey left too soon, she could be drawn to the dark side. Leia had sensed her pull to the dark the same way she had sensed it in Ben years ago. So yeah, totally her Yoda moment.
Speaking of Princess Leia,
as we are,
I learned some weird things in the brand new Star Wars Visual Dictionary, now available on wherever you buy your fine books. They have a little timeline of Princess Leia's life, and it's weird because there's two weird things about it. First of all, they mentioned that the thing that really threw me off is all the dates are a number and then BSI. And I was like, BSI? What the heck? And then before
Sports Illustrated. The first issue of Sports Illustrated was in...
It's before the Star Killer base incident, which I'm assuming means the blowing up. I guess it wasn't that long. I don't know what part of a Star Killer base. It was only around for a short time that we were aware of it. But so
it's using a new scale. Instead of Star Wars, it's using Force Awakens as the scale.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like opposed to that. But do you guys have any? Just because it seems like it should be tied to something like the fall of the Empire rather than like one incident in a thing,
Right. I think it should be either, yes, it should be if granted, we don't know that this takes, but if this really is the end of the Emperor Palpatine and the Final Order, then this could be the thing. But you have before and after this.
Yeah.
Or going back, I mean, if we're going to do, I don't know, like we could have so many things. Are we trying to do it internally? Like, is this something that like in the universe that they would know, that they would base things on? Like, are we trying to, because like,
I would think that would be the best thing to do rather than have to keep changing it every
something
time.
That they would be.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, on our And we could do, yes, I think Return of the Jedi probably makes the most sense to do it from, because it's the death of the original Empire and the death of Vader, slash Anakin, who was our main character for essentially for 6 movies, one of the main characters for, so like, I would pin it to that, sure. Or, if we're not thinking about internal chronology, if we're not thinking about what the people in the movie would think, you could tie it to, the birth of Luke and Leia at the end of Revenge of the Sith or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, because again, we're tying it to characters makes more sense maybe for our brains.
Mm-hmm.
Although that wouldn't help with you looking it up, being like, oh, it looks like she was born at 0 before the birth of Leia. You know what I mean? But.
So the other weird thing that struck me was, so they have a little timeline here, 53 BSI, she was born on...
Chrysanthe is still processing timelines and trying to come up with an answer about like what.
I'm thinking of like 5 things right now. One of them is like, wow, what if my life had like all these different timelines, just like defined different events, just like rewrite my whole timeline in relationship to this event, just the numbers constantly changing. And then I think like, well, I do understand like orienting a person's timeline around a really big event, and I understand that shifting, and I'm not necessarily in favor of just one strict timeline. But the thing is also all timelines, all time measurements are in relationship to some starting point. And even right now in 2023 or beyond, like this is AD, right? We're kind of orienting ourselves around this.
Or CE.
Okay, but at some point, the actual event that we are orienting, we are calibrating the numbers around, it's kind of loses meaning. It's kind of becomes arbitrary, and at some point, it just becomes more convenient to not just keep shifting the timeline, because who cares if it's like Battle of Yavin or Starkiller Base Incident or AD or CE or whatever. It just functionally, we are kind of in this moment where it makes sense for us to be just continuing in, a couple thousand. We just keep going up, but the reference is the numbers themselves, because at this point, not just the date that they became, that year 0 was. You know what I mean? Like, so I think for Star Wars fans who have been Star Wars fans since before, or not even since before, just who know all of the Star Wars movies at least, we already kind of have in our brains like people oriented around BBY and ABY. We just kind of, it's easy to compare numbers, even if we forget what is BBY. Like, it's fine if people forget what BBY and ABY are, but like, I don't know, just the numbers, I don't know. It kind of stresses me out to think about changing the numbers, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just, that's what I'm thinking of.
Throughout the course of this conversation, I've come around and I'm very much in favor of sticking with BBY as the thing, because I feel like that also reflects the first several years, some decades even of Star Wars. This is outside of the internal chronology for us. For years, everything was kind of in relation to, yes, this is all sequels or spin-offs of Star Wars, the movie that came out in 1977. So for anything to be BBY or ABY is all related to that movie. But now it's getting further and further removed from that. And people, they're not talking about Star Wars in relation to sequels to that movie. It's just a concept. And so it's detaching the concept of Star Wars from its relationship to that movie. And so that I don't like it. And I want to stick with ABY, BBY, because I need everybody to just remember that you're like, yes, this is all, everything is a sequel to that movie.
Okay, that's not exactly where I'm coming from, but for me,
I know.
but for me, having like BBY and ABY growing up has been a thing that helps me more tangibly connect everything back to that. And I feel like it's been like a kind of a like an anchor point to quickly orient. Like, it's just a point of reference. But I can also understand how in universe, such an event like that is like, it's like kind of not arbitrary. It's like a big deal for sure. But I think I would, obviously people on different can see how like people in the empire might not even recognize that this year system, this dating system. You know, people on the different side of the war might not like this new year situation. I think it kind of makes sense to like have like something neutral, like an eclipse. A big cataclysmic disaster that can set the new year. I don't know, but ideally not change that too often. I say this as someone who, my dad escaped the Khmer Rouge, and in Cambodia at some point they set year 0. Yeah. And so my dad literally does not know when he was born. Mm. It's super confusing.
Well, he was just a baby back then, so makes sense. Right. Oh, also, like I don't think that in universe they use the BBY ABY system.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
Like I can't imagine. Well, I mean, the Empire was around for 20 years, so it's not like if we had a fascist government for 20 years. Even if they did change the calendar, we'd probably just say, you know what, let's just go back to the old calendar because everyone. You know what? It seems like
they hated the old calendar, and it was a good opportunity to like, let's start fresh. Like we hated the old calendar, then the fascists came in. They put in that calendar that we also didn't like because we didn't like them. But let's do best of both worlds. Right. We'll start over. We'll take the good things from the fascist calendar. We'll take the good things from the old calendar. We'll start over.
So in which case, then it seems like that, like the fall of the death of the emperor would be theoretically I know the empire straggled on for a couple of years after he was dead, but it seems like that would be the time to, like, once the rebels basically took control of the government, that's when year 0 would be.
Right.
If they were going to
that we have
renumber the calendar.
This just makes me feel really, I hope that they don't use that. I don't know off the top of my head. If anyone knows for sure whether they use this date system in universe, I would like to know, because I'm suddenly very distressed about how Beaumont is able to do his work with all the the year stuff changing. I feel like we've already talked, we talked about this before seasons ago, just about the different day lengths and everything. Oh no, thinking about time in Star Wars is very overwhelming.
Well, I mean, we do also have that on Earth. There's, different cultures have used different calendars, and then so archaeologists here obviously have to kind of try to match and see when they're talking about this.
Yeah, but there's like carbon dating and stuff, and we're all on one planet with the same sun that we're orbiting around.
Yes.
So, as if that was not controversial enough, the thing that really surprised me was they mentioned all the stuff about Leia. She was born 53 BSI. She was Star Wars takes place 34 BSI. So then it was when we get to 30 BSI that it becomes interesting. 30 BSI infiltrates Jabba's palace, slays the crime lord. Okay. Also 30 BSI, mission to Endor, learns of family legacy. This is all the events from Return of the Jedi.
30 BSI. This seems like her resume or something like that. She's kind of encapsulated. Then skills, or work experience.
It's a resume for someone to buy the rights to her life for a movie.
Right, yeah.
30 BSI marries Han Solo. So within a year of the Battle of Endor, she marries Han Solo. And in that same year, she ceases Jedi training. So that seems weird to me that in Return of the Jedi, she had no Jedi training, and yet within a year, she had no more training did she require. Is it a coincidence that she marries Han and then immediately after that stops her Jedi training? Did Han Solo?
She had already had Kylo when she stopped Jedi training. I think she stopped Jedi training when Kylo was a baby, right?
Not according to the visual dictionary. Kylo Ren
in the novelization,
Ben Solo born in 29 BSI. Maybe that's why she stopped training, was because she was great with child, so she couldn't do flips and climb
went
up
back and picked it up again.
Hairy ropes and everything like that. So anyway, I just think it's interesting but then again, I guess Luke only had a couple of weeks of training and he wound up becoming the greatest Jedi ever. So it's not about the time, it's not the mileage, it's not the years, it's the mileage, as someone said.
There you go.
I am confused about this now.
Yes, believe me.
Okay.
Because Pete, have you gotten to this part in the novelization yet where they talk about why she stopped training?
No, I don't think so. I'm not reading ahead really. I'm just kind of reading roughly what we cover. But I mean,
okay,
that
so when you get there,
matches up with my internal understanding of Leia, is that she tried it out, never really picked it up, and then just went back to being a general, which is what she was good at, quote unquote.
maybe I misinterpreted it, but I feel like, and I don't remember the page, but like I thought that something about her son played into it, that like she saw maybe a vision of her son going dark, or just something about her son. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe she didn't have a son, but maybe she knew that she would have a son, or maybe she was kind of seeing into the future or something.
Maybe just in the tradition of Marie Skywalker, she had another son, and then he's hidden away somewhere as like a backup to save the galaxy.
Why? What would that have to do with her training or not?
Because that the son that she's talking about in the vision that stops her training from this first year is not Kylo Ren. It's not Ben Solo. It's a different son.
I'm sorry. Who's Marie?
Marie is the Luke's actual twin sister that is not Leia. Because that was, they never say,
well, you mean originally? Wait,
originally, no. No. I mean in headcanon.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars Minute accepted headcanon.
Okay.
Marie is the one that, when like there's like, oh, I have a twin sister, like, and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, so we thought it was wise to hide her, and Luke's like, Leia, and Obi-Wan's like, you're a smart guy, but never says yes. That's your sister.
Oh, okay.
Like Luke just like basically assumes, and Obi-Wan is like, if that's what you think, you're good going, good guess. Like doesn't say yes. So I think that there is safely hidden away Marie Skywalker somewhere else in the galaxy.
So when is this other child supposed to have been born? Leia's other child.
Pretty soon after the Endor celebration sequence.
Like 3 months after, when Han Solo was in carbonite for a year, and Leia then suddenly has a kid.
Oh, that could be a whole different thing. Well, who did we say that she maybe?
Luke's kid.
No, who did we? Oh no, it was a different. Right, we were right. Well, Hutch, but no, he exploded. Who did we thought that she had another? She remarried and had. We were talking about Cato Kokonix being her daughter from a post Han Solo relationship,
right?
But that doesn't affect this right here. Anyway,
so I think everyone's a little surprised that Leia's Jedi training was a little cut short. And it's weird because in the description of it, they kind of hint at it. They say like, oh, it was cut short, but they don't say exactly why it was cut short. So maybe it'll be in the...
Well, she wanted to serve the galaxy in other ways. Wait, maybe that was it. I feel like her son was mentioned, but I might be mixing it up with like 10 other books. I know she certainly mentions like that she just feels that she can serve the galaxy in another way. And she does.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
This Harry Vine thing, it's just not for me. You know what I mean? It's just like...
The flips are making me dizzy. I don't know. I'm going to go. I'm going to go back to the Senate.
By the way, the book The Princess and the Scoundrel. Oh
yeah.
The book The Princess and the Scoundrel, which starts right after the Battle of Endor, chronicles Leia and Han after the battle. They're at the celebration. That's like where that book picks up. They're at the celebration with the Ewoks and everything, and then they go on their honeymoon.
Oh right, aboard the Galactic Star Cruiser, right?
Yes.
That seems like a strange choice for Leia to go take her honeymoon right after the Battle of Endor.
She didn't want to go. No. It was a wedding gift from Mon Mothma. Because Chandrila,
all that gangster money from that we saw.
Well, she wants to show the galaxy that like all is well here. Basically, like do kind of show that
everybody go out.
We won. Everyone's good. It's all good because there was immediately political unrest right after. We know after the Battle of Endor, things weren't solved, but they wanted to put on a good face. Anyway, very weird book, but the parts that take place on Endor are actually very good. I think the parts that take place
they had to shoehorn in the. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel very bad for the author. Let's just say that because it sounds like there was a beginning of some good exploration between the true nature of the relationship between Leia and Han, and then it's sort of just like product placement for all the things you can do on the Star Cruiser. Very strange. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that book was born out of like, all right, well, we got Galactic Star Cruiser coming out. We need to write a book that happens on that. What can we do? Okay. But what if somebody raised their hand? What about Han and Leia's honeymoon? Great. Somebody go write that. And then the process went from there. And not the other way around. It's not like they were writing a book and they're like, oh, you should put in the Galactic Star Cruiser. It was
Although,
just like Galactic Star Cruiser book. And
that actually sounds kind of like, I don't actually know what happened and whatever, but it sounds like there's actually part of it is like a really good story, and then it's like the parts, like they get off the ship at some point to do some adventure and whatever. That part's fine. Just the parts where they're on the ship itself, I don't know.
Right.
I can almost feel, it feels like the author almost had a story to tell, and then they were like, I know the perfect thing that you should insert in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not leveling that against the author. I think the author probably had, again, it's like Iron Chef. Like right here, your secret ingredient is
the
Galactic Star Cruiser.
Star
Cruiser. Like, okay, I guess I could do the honeymoon, and then they could get off and have adventures.
Yeah, I guess I can order a drink. I guess I can go to the sabacc table, but we don't have real pieces anymore. We have hollow pieces, just like they were going to do on the. They're not going to have real pieces on the cruise. Anyway.
I'd like to order a drink.
I'll have one of those. Well, anything else for minute number 17? We've gone far afield here, but anything else specific to minute number 17 of the rise of Skywalker?
The
final order.
We hear what I believe to be Beaumont Kin whispering about that there were always whispers.
Mm-hmm.
He whispers that there were whispers?
Yeah, it says there were always whispers of his hunger to cheat death.
Yes.
Which is, again, hammering it home a little bit. But I like that they made it a whisper about the whispers. And we also don't, we just barely mentioned that Maz is there, which is interesting because Maz joined up fully. And again, this is from the novelization that she, after the Battle of Crate, then they really started to kind of say, look, everybody, like we're making a thing of this. We're doing it. We survived, and we're the resistance in its kind of new forms really started to gain steam, and they called in favors and allies from all over the galaxy. And Maz joining up with them full time was a big kind of keystone in that. It was an important part of it that it kind of lent credence to other aliens and other species and cultures to be like, oh well, Maz Kanata's like legitimate businesswoman. She's in there, I guess. She vouched for the resistance essentially by joining up full time. And
so she's like a celebrity, she's like a celebrity in Star Wars world.
She's well known in terms of, we saw her castle in terms of that. And so like within the circles that they were looking to add people, the kind of free people who do, are their own bosses and do a lot of, might be resistant to the First Order. She held a lot of weight.
I think people that old kind of have to be celebrities in a way, because they've seen so many things and been so many places, and just at least the rumor mill or something. Like wow, she's been around since Yoda's days and way before, and like, whoa, like, I don't know. She's legend. She's a legend.
Yeah. And canon. There are no legends of although legend does describe Exegol as the hidden world of the Sith. C-3PO lets us know that. And I liked the legend, huh?
Yeah. I like that too. So
I should have said, I don't care about legends. Tell me if it's canon or not. It's not canon. Don't worry about it.
Right.
In this minute and last minute, we've been hearing the Emperor's theme.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of have the continuation of a similar type of underscore here, but kind of more active, like more fast. It was like. Or something like that, and then it kind of goes up. type of thing. And I feel like this may have been added, I don't know, I'll have to figure out for sure after the fact, because this particular bit isn't, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It feels to me kind of like an insert. I'm not positive yet. Yeah, but we have the Emperor's theme sort of superimposed over that. And then when Rey is talking to Leia in Leia's tent, I don't know what that is called. Force theme, obviously. And it actually, the Force theme kind of plays out fully, which is actually kind of more rare. We have here.
Right.
But then it goes on. It goes on. Like it's, and I feel, and that's when Rey's crying. Wait, is that, yeah, Rey's crying, right?
I think that's coming up.
Oh, it's coming up. Okay.
Yeah, she starts to cry soon.
Okay. Well, they started to hug, right? Have they started to hug?
They're still talking.
Okay. Well, is this the last time that they see each other?
Right.
Oh, okay.
We're 2 minutes away from a hug.
Okay. So, never mind. Maybe
2 minutes to hug. 2 minutes to hug.
Okay.
Places, everybody.
Well, all right. I guess that will wrap up minute number 17.
Wait, I was factually wrong. This isn't where the full Force theme is yet. We do hear the full Force theme later, but in minute whatever, 18 or 19.
Right. Full Force, in effect. Coming up. Cliffhanger.
I guess people should check out Star Wars Music Minute for the.
That's true.
The greater details of the. So, minute 17 complete, and if you've been listening to us, which I assume you have, were you aware that you can also watch us on the YouTube? If you go to the the Star Wars Minute on YouTube, I lost track of which one.
StarWarsMinute.com/YouTube will get you there.
Yes, and be sure you like and subscribe. We have some YouTube exclusive content coming down the pipeline, so be sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff so you don't miss a word of us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, did you know that you can also listen to us in podcast form? If you're tired of being stuck with having to sit by your laptop or desktop, go on the move by downloading it as a podcast wherever you get podcasts from, all the Podbeans, Pod Shifters, whatever those things are called, where we all get podcasts from. Do that, and then you can listen to us tomorrow for another Star Wars
Minute.